friends, welcome to the new setup. Do you like it? I call it my bedroom. It's cozy. So HBO Max officially launched over 2 months ago as of the release of this video. And I gotta say, my roommate and I have been enjoying it a lot so far. It's actually got a pretty big catalog with a lot of variety to it. But I do have one gripe about HBO Max so far. Madagascar, Escape to Africa isn't on there. What the hell is that about?
Analysis.
It looks like a small incandescent bulb, designed to indicate something out of the ordinary, like a malfunction.
I find it pretty and somewhat hypnotic.
That too, sir.
Right. Rico. Manual. Problemo solved.
So one particular streaming service that's been shoved down a lot of consumers' eye holes within the past few months has been
Quick bites, big stories. Quibi.
No. Well, I mean, yeah, definitely. But the streaming service we're talking about today is the AT&T owned streaming service, HBO Max. Now, as opposed to Quibi, HBO Max had a better idea of what it wanted to be, and it felt a bit more planned out than the other one. But before we can get into all of that, let's do a quick recap of the streaming wars up to this point. In the late 2000s, it was pretty much just Netflix. I mean, Hulu was there too, but a lot of consumers weren't sure if it was some form of online TV, a weird version of cable, or just something else entirely. So to combat this, Hulu aired a 1-minute commercial at the 2009 So Big football game thing. And honestly, it kind of worked. The commercial was able to show consumers within that 1-minute span exactly what Hulu was. The commercial made a memorable impression with a self-aware tone and even some fourth wall-breaking humor in there.
We've created Hulu. Hulu beams TV directly to your portable computing devices, giving you more of the cerebral gelatinizing shows you want anytime, anywhere, for free.
It's hard to believe that Hulu was actually free at one point in time. But Disney owns it now, so, yeah, it's never coming back. Capitalism. Speaking of financial empires, once Jeff Bezos heard that Netflix and Hulu were actually garnering some attention, he stuck his little head out and he said, "I want that money. Give me that money, please." And thus, Amazon Prime Video was born. The streaming service came included with all Prime member subscriptions, so even if people weren't using Amazon Prime Video, Amazon was still able to boast those huge numbers. Jumping ahead 10 years later, Disney, Apple, and every other multi-billion-dollar corporation has tossed their hat in the ring. And most of them haven't backed down yet either. Well, except for... And that lands us to now, summer 2020, probably the peak of the streaming wars since there's an endless amount of streaming options you can choose from. Like mentioned earlier, we've already seen the launch of 3 different services this year alone, from Quibi to HBO Max and even NBC Universal's Peacock. The service is free for now, but the fact that they're launching so late into the game and the fact that their bragging rights are just a couple of decade-old shows seems like it could fail before it succeeds.
To the untrained eye, I look like a total idiot.
You do, in fact.
But it's actually a seduction technique known as peacocking.
Okie dokie, enough about all those competitors. Let's get back to the main focus of the video, HBO Max. Now, keep in mind, this isn't a review of HBO Max or what it's like to live with someone who watches HBO Max. No, today we'll be taking a look at the advertising campaign of HBO Max, how it started right before its launch, how it's going right now, and what the future may hold for it. But what makes me qualified to talk about this? Well, I've got a bachelor's degree in advertising, and when I was in college, I actually co-founded an ad agency. But honestly, I just think this topic's really interesting. For instance, Warner Media Entertainment actually put up HBO Max advertisements up online about a year ahead of its launch. So in 2019, some basic intro ads are pushed, but the market isn't really flooded with HBO Max awareness until 2020 itself. 2020 rolls around and some more ads are lightly sprinkled around in the digital and traditional outlets. But 3 months before HBO Max is set to launch, some super itty bitty teeny I don't know if you heard of it, but a little global pandemic occurred and kind of threw their whole plan out of whack.
During these uncertain times,
Part of me wonders if AT&T got mad at Warner Media for not anticipating literally the worst sequence of events that could occur before a launch.
What do you do now, Max? I didn't do anything, Dad.
So what were the advertisers behind HBO Max to do? Contracts were already signed and deals were probably already established months ahead of time, so if the other side doesn't want to withdraw, you can't really delay the launch any. So Warner Media Entertainment, according to this AdWeek article I found, actually changed their 3-month advertising campaign they had set in place down to a 1-month condensed strategy. Supposedly, the marketing was set to promo at a lot of sports games and other mass gathering events. For obvious reasons, those got pulled, but this was also around the same time that production on a lot of HBO Max original programming was still going on. So what I think happened was the advertisers chose to double down on the already established brands and content that people would recognize and enjoy seeing. With that all stated, let's take a look at how the launch actually went. You would think that Warner Media would primarily focus on commercial and digital ad placement as opposed to outside and out-of-home ads, but like I mentioned, those deals were probably already signed and paid for a long time ago. I live here in LA, and it's not too uncommon to be walking down the street and you see a billboard or a bus stop ad for HBO Max, and in Hollywood proper, there's actually one that covers the entire side of a building. So, some of the tactics used for the out-of-home ads are actually really clever and eye-catching. A lot of them use the service's catalog and variety to its own advantage. They've used characters' names, catchphrases, and just general references to the content that they have as sort of an alliteration tactic to compare and contrast their wide library. Which, honestly, smart move on their end. It's a simple yet effective way for them to show the diverse selection you can get from HBO Max. By the way, this is in no way a paid advertisement for HBO Max. I wish that was a possibility, but it's not. So, I'm just gonna thank my patrons as always. Thank you guys very much for supporting me. Okay, please don't get mad at me for trying to self-advertise. Back to the learning. You may be wondering, what digital markets did HBO Max actually decide to go and advertise themselves on? Yeah, all of them. It feels like they bought ad space everywhere that they could, and they're just seeing what sticks. I've seen their ads all over Snapchat and Instagram.
dancing on the people rolled up at the after joint, dancing on the people, dancing on the people with the people on it.
Like, a lot. They've got a TikTok account, which apparently already needed a new admin a month after the launch. In the bio for the account, the person running it literally put, "in search of somebody to run this account," which, always a good sign for a new brand. They've pushed a lot of ads on YouTube, but I've also seen a ton on Hulu, which is interesting because that's one of their competitors. So, for better or worse, it seems that Warner Media Entertainment is going for an all-in approach here. The brand message stays consistent throughout all of their placements, and my guess is they're going for a "we've got it all" method. Seems to be working out for them so far. I'm not a fan of big media overall anyways, so I kind of figured when AT&T bought Turner, Warner Brothers, and all their subsidiaries, that some form of HBO Max was inevitable. I can acknowledge the intent and effort behind the branding of HBO Max, but that doesn't mean that everyone agrees or even likes the way that it was done. There's an article by Fast Company that actually strongly critiques the branding decisions by HBO Max. It goes into detail about how the new branding basically wipes out the previous identity of HBO as a whole. But here's the thing. That shift happened way before HBO Max's ad campaign launched. With any major buyout, a new code of paying is going to be slapped on no matter what to establish new ownership. And I'm not trying to support a corporation here. I'm just wanting us to acknowledge that the advertisers and the people behind the advertising campaign, they kind of did the best that they could. Red Bull on ice. It's pretty alright. I'm Jeff Bezos, but I have hair, so... Yeah, I'm hoping filming in here is a lot less echoey than it was out in the main room. Ah! Oh, ah! Oh! Ooh! Ah! So, what's ahead for HBO Max? Are they destined to wither and die like so many other streaming services, or maybe they have more tricks up their sleeve. Well, in that AdWeek article I mentioned before, it alludes to HBO Max's advertising campaign evolving into more of an original programming focus as opposed to its back catalog it's doing now. My guess is they'll continue to sprinkle ads here and there to kind of continue driving new people to try out the service. But once everything returns to normal and they have a fresh batch of content to the platform, I imagine they're going to do a soft relaunch of the advertising campaign in a year or two. Honestly, the advertisers behind HBO Max were presented with the impossible task of premiering something brand new and something already established. To paraphrase the old slogan, it's not quite a rebrand of a television channel, and it's not quite a new streaming service either. It's HBO Max. Yo, apologies if this was a bit more drier than usual than my normal content. I'm just trying something new here, but I appreciate you staying till the end. If you like this style, or even if you didn't, let me know down there in the comments. And while you're down there, make sure and smash the fuck out of the subscribe button. I mean, you might as well, if you're down there. Science has yet to prove that it's unhealthy, so it could be healthy for you, you know. Zion. If you want more content from me, I actually just started streaming over on Twitch. Me and the boys be playing Fall Guys over there. I've also got Twitter, Instagram, and Patreon if you want to check those out. But as always, guys, I've been Andy, you have been Dandy, and thank you for watching.